Afternoon, everyone. As usual, so good to see everyone. Demetria, I'm going to find my agenda, but we're going to have everybody identify themselves, whether they're on Zoom or just via mobile. Sandra Collins via Zoom.
Shalisa Williams via Zoom.
Tolu Adewale via Zoom.
Wanda Gilbert Coco via, what is it? Via, I forgot what it
Audio.
audio, yeah, via audio.
Eric Colburn via, Eric Colburn audio.
Lauren Brazil via Zoom.
Is that everyone? Hi, Mr. Demetrius.
Hey, oh, my bad. Demetrius Edwards. Y'all can see me. How y'all doing? Oh, sorry.
Okay. I'm pulling up my agenda. I'm sorry. Well, again, welcome everyone. We do have a lot to cover today, so our conversation will probably just be focused in one area, and that will be our conference. But before we get started, approval of the Fair Housing Hearing Board agenda. I would like to approve the Fair Housing Hearing Board agenda for today. If someone would second that, that'd be great.
Second it.
Okay, Shalisa Williams, second the approval of the agenda. Any questions? Any problems with the agenda? Agenda approved. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I'm going to assume that everyone, and thanks, everyone received a copy of the minutes from last month.
I'm not seeing it.
Why not, Tulu?
Was that sent out on February 16th? Wait, no, sorry.
It's
I usually send them out right after the meeting.
as a matter of fact, oh, I'll send, matter of fact, Tulu, I'll send it to you now. Just so you'll have an official copy. Okay. I just sent it to you. Did everyone else receive a copy of the agenda? And yes, Colin sent it on February the 16th.
Thank you.
I've never received minutes so fast. That's probably why you don't realize you've received them. He actually sends them after the meeting versus the day of. Colin, we're getting them too soon.
I'll see if I can just say Google will send it to you in a month.
Hey, that's what I'm used to. But at a glance, does the minutes look okay to everyone? So if someone would do approval
I
of
call a motion that we approve the minutes from the February meeting.
Go ahead.
Oh, I second. Not sure if you're able to hear.
All right, identify yourself.
Colin seconds.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? Okay, minutes approved. public comments. Do we have anyone from any visitors? Lauren, you're not a visitor. Just for clarification.
Ma'am, we
You're one
don't.
of us. So we don't. Council liaison remarks. Mr. Demetrius, anything going on?
I just take the staff liaison doing this update as well. I have not heard anything from Councilmember Branch at this time. I do have a couple of updates from the department if I can provide just one major update. During the previous city council meeting, they elected to bring boards and commissions back into person starting in April. So your next board meeting will be in person starting April. We have relocated the board meeting. Instead of meeting RMB, you're going to be meeting at the Pathway Center. So I can send out all the information. That's the building in which I'm currently in. We have a nice sized conference room. We also have free parking. So literally you can just park, walk upstairs or take the elevator upstairs and our conference room is right there. You don't have to deal with, the other accessibility issues that you typically would have to do with the main City of Raleigh building. Also, other boards and commissions have voiced their concerns with meeting in person. And so I strongly advise you to just reach out to your council liaison. If you're not comfortable with coming back into person, just let them know that you're not comfortable coming back into person.
I'll make a comment on that. I think let me rephrase that. I'm going to speak for myself because this is something that's definitely an individual decision. But I kind of feel like we have a smaller group. I almost wish that this particular meeting was in person, considering what we have before us next month. I don't know. It's just something about being in person and getting things accomplished. I may be zoomed out in more than one way, but I personally do not have a problem with. Our group is small. The room is big. We're fortunate. I know some of the commissions and committees are quite large. So I kind of feel them, but. Anyone? I do have a question before I go around the room, Demetrius. Will people have an option to attend in person and still do Zoom? Or what's going on there?
As of right now, it's everyone in person. I haven't received any type of guidance or any type of IT support with that request, but it's a request that we have elevated and ran up the chain is hybrid an option as well. So we're just waiting to hear back. But once again, I urge everyone just forward an email to your council liaison. Just let them know if you are uncomfortable with that request.
Okay. Does anyone else have an opinion on this?
I do. This is Wanda Gilbert Coker, mobile. As I said before you joined, Sandra, and hello, I have been tested. I don't have COVID. I no longer am contagious, but I am coughing. And I know even my family members look at me funny. But if I were, amongst you all in person, I would still sit somewhere else, on the side, just because of the stigma of coughs and sniffles, because of what we've gone through, out of the respect. But because that's what I would want someone else to do, because I would, I don't know if they would have COVID or what, it's up to someone else to say, what's going on with them. But my point is, because of that, I feel that hybrid should be an option, because a person should not have to say, hey, I'm coughing, or I have COVID, or whatever illness is going on then, because COVID is still here. it's not like, hey, it left. It's still here. It's still a real thing. Obama just had it or still has it. So I feel like it should be an option. People still wearing masks. My doctors are still wearing it. Actually, my friend is here visiting, and we're staying at a hotel. The hotel people are still wearing the mask. So I just want to go on record, Wanda Gilbert Coker Mobile, that it should still be an option to keep people safe. Thank you.
Thanks. And I agree. We had an option prior to COVID. If you all can recall, if you couldn't make it in person, we just called in. I mean, it doesn't have to be Zoom.
Yep.
Exactly.
But I would think that it would be the same. But at the same time, I will say this for me, while I'm still here and even moving forward, as long as we kind of still having some issues among our community regarding COVID or colds or whatever the case is, that if we should choose to move forward and you have an option of showing up to the actual space over what I want to say, what's your building, Demetrius?
The pathway.
Pathways.
The what pathway? Over at the Pathway Center, excuse my cursing. The Pathway Center or call in. I think it's going to be very important that we know the plan. I would hate to drive to the Pathway Center, sit in the conference room, and everyone has decided to call in. So I think as long as we know in advance that more than one or two of us is going to show up, then everyone else can call in. But I will pass this by Corey. I'm more than positive that he would not have a problem with this. And again, it's no different than how we operated prior to. Yes.
I want to add one more thing. I don't know if they've seen the price of gas. But here in Raleigh, somewhere else it might be cheaper. But here where I live, it's expensive. So I just want to put that on the record too.
And it is something to, it is something else to consider. Here at North State Bank, as of Monday, anyone that's in a position to work remotely with the approval of their supervisors can. And, it's a bank, so everybody can. We need customer service tellers or whoever, and they're going to compensate them in some other means. So that is something else to consider. And I'm sorry, I did not think about that, but again, so we'll move on from that. I will find out our options from Corey. I'll share it, and then we'll take it from there. I mean, we're talking about a month from now, so.
Yeah, and even next month, we typically don't have the meeting.
Correct.
Instead, it's preparations for the conference, which we can do as meeting, whatever. Also, Demetrius, previously, we would just use a conference line that was available inside of the whatever room we're in. And just have someone call in. So as Sandra alluded to, we have had people on this board today call in when we were in person. So it is funny that they are kind of taking that in-person stance and not even humoring what we previously had.
Okay. We'll move right along. It's the chairperson's report, and I'm the chairperson. So with that being said, I want to go straight into conference discussion because I think that's what's most important, and that's what's in front of us. I'm actually going to give the floor to Colin, and then we can all kind of chime in. I think everyone knows that in the last few months, one of our challenges was finding a tech company. And so Colin, which thank you so very much, because they'd have been talking to me, the conference would have been canceled. I'm just telling you now. So you have the floor, Mr. Barber.
Sweet. So reached out to a few people. Right now we have two folks that are going to send us over a proposal in terms of support. One of which is Creative Visions. That was who had worked with an affordable housing conference that I believe Jack and Sandra had attended and Jack had spoken at. They seem to be more on the production side and want to give us a high quality production. They're looking at the 20 grand range of what they're offering with, at first it was at a certain point they were saying limited tech support. I don't know really what's happening there. Frankly, I think it's just they want us to pre-record everything as well. That's not working, that's not going over well with the legal aid folks, as we have already booked the people for this specific day. We didn't tell them, anyone that's attending, you need to dedicate 3 hours prior to. So there's, essentially they are the worst option. Even if we did it ourselves, we at the very end of the day would still have 20 grand on hand that we could throw at the community. So yeah, frankly, they're the worst option. But in the future, if anyone's interested, sure, you could pay a lot of money for a nice production. The second group I'm talking to, I just got off the phone with this individual this morning. He's essentially someone that does a lot of in-person conferences and then shoots them over through Zoom. And he's picking up a buddy of his that is a IT production guy that I guess runs a company as well that does very similar things to this. So when I talked to him, he said that his the top end that they scoped it out, and this includes some pre-production bells and whistles, is 12 grand to run the production. That includes, and that's with everything. So they're going to be essentially doing what the last organization did, making us slides, making sure everything works on the front end, talking to people and making sure that, the agenda flows and working with all that. That means they'll also have a dedicated space in which they're trying to rent out some office space to run this, because they need a solid internet connection, and just the individual that's doing it, as well as the director / producer that he's hiring, they want to be in the same space to run all this. Their setup more or less sounds like they're going to have the main stage as a Zoom room, and then every panelist will join an individual Zoom room. That'll be their green room, and that's how they're going to talk to someone and get them, prepared. So if you have panelists, you'll have the moderator and panelist A. Panelist A will be talking. They'll say 5-minute warning, or I'll say or whoever the moderator will say 5-minute warning, and then they will go in to the Zoom room that the next panelist is going to be in, make sure that their sound's good, make sure everything's good, get them prepped because they have 5 minutes, and then promote them up to the main stage and kind of flow it like that. So it sounds like the only thing that we're not going to get out of that is that same communal green room experience that we had previously. But it also sounds like we're not going to have to worry about that flowing over. So we might want to look into other communication methods, and he proposed some that we could use in terms of talking just amongst ourselves, kind of in a back room. I'm still trying to push him to just figure out anything for all of us to communicate, just so the conference doesn't feel like such a segmented, experience. Other things that we suggested to cut down on, they want to do, like they scoped out $1,300 for talking to panelists prior to the event. Again, given how hard it is for us to expand the scope of this prior to the event, I'm thinking that he seemed kind of fine with us just saying, let's use like the hour or two before the event to talk to everyone and get that set up. And I made it clear, if one of our panelists can't figure out their audio, if they have an issue, we understand that it's not their fault if we say we don't want to talk for an hour with those individual, each one of the panelists beforehand, and make sure it's set up. They're just scoping out an hour of time. They just want to make sure everything's going to work and everything's going to run. Again, I think all of our panelists have probably done Zoom presentations since, this time has changed. So I have good faith that within an hour, we can at least get audio somewhat normalized. Worst case, if it's not, who cares? That's, money for us. And that's also not a time commitment asked on the end of panelists. Also for space, Demetrius, if we could potentially use even like a conference room that the city of Raleigh has, anything that's, I would say, enterprise level. They're going to have multiple computers set up, and I imagine they probably want to plug everything in hardline or hardwire. So if we could do something like that, that probably is also going to cut off like $1,000. I think what he was getting at is the bare bones production would probably be 6 to 8K. And so that's knocking off $4,000 of the bells and whistles experience. And I even told him, you know, I get the urge to have good pre-production. Every worker is worth their wage. We're not trying to lowball you here, but there's going to be some give and take, especially when it comes to asking for panelist time beforehand. That just seems like a very hard compromise for us to get, be okay with that, and then additionally pay for that. So I'm asking them to, send over just some more information. And obviously we need to have a sit down with everyone and talk about it. Zoom closed captioning, we use that. They would have a separate room set up with a Spanish translator. And I talked to them about how choppy that was last time. So as long as they tell us what structure we can work in, I think we'll be fine. That's kind of the big point that I made, is that with the last group we had, we were given a structure or told of a structure, but not really given that structure. So as long as this group can lay out how it's going to work, how everyone's going to talk, how everyone's going to communicate, I think we're fine with that, as long as we have ways to tell people mid-meeting, if you need a Spanish interpreter, please join this Zoom call. As long as we don't, as we're notified, this is the channel that you're going to communicate on, pay attention 5 minutes before you're supposed to present on this Zoom call, we're going to call you up. I think we can work with that. So that's definitely the direction I'm leaning in. It seems like, also it seems like kind of a bigger opportunity as well. Or not bigger opportunity, but like a unique opportunity for the guy that we're specifically working with is, so he's excited for it as well. He wants to work with us. And I kind of like how that's all set up, and the fact that it's at most half the cost of creative. So that's more or less what I've found out over the last month of talking to folks.
Now you see what happened last time we worked on the budget, low cost.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as it is, that's why I was like very specific, if as long as this guy is not telling us we're going to have a room where everyone can talk and no one can hear it, and that happens, I don't care for low cost. If last time they just told us anything you say in this room will be broadcasted on the live thing, we would have been a lot better with that. So that's kind of the main point that I'm putting out there. And he's also saying that backroom thing is like the backroom channel that we want to have, where all of us can talk and hang out and it's not broadcasted. He doesn't think that we're going to be able to do that on Zoom. We'd have to figure out a different platform to be able to communicate and do all that on, which is fine-ish. Last time we weren't really able to talk, so we figured it out. But yeah. Also, the $20,000 one, again, they pulled the rug out from under me on one call and said they're not even going to offer Zoom support. And I was like, what just happened? I thought we were paying $20,000 for someone to run a Zoom call. And then they're just like, nope, you're kind of on your own. We're just going to record this stuff and let you handle it. I was like, what a waste of time. So yeah, other guy at least seems like he's there for tech support. They're going to help us out. And anytime that we make concessions on pre-production stuff that makes their life easier, we just have to accept that that's going to potentially cause an issue if something goes completely awry with a panelist. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Hey, Colin, with that back room so each panelist is going to be in their own separate breakout room, basically. Will they be able to watch the conference, like while the other people are presenting? Okay.
So we'll have the main viewer conference. They'll pull that up. They'll be able to watch it. So it's almost the exact same thing as last time,
Okay.
except it's not the secondary room is not a big room where everyone's hanging out. It's just an individual room where the panelists will just sit there and wait until the producer comes up, says, hey, you've got 5 minutes. Let me check if your sound's working. Let me check if your lighting's good. Can you change that? Can you up this? Cool. 3, 2, 1. That's how we
Amazing.
describe it.
Okay.
Which
And did they say anything about
so-
how to handle the Q&A portion if they're all separate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Q&A, I said if we just do a general chat and they just pour questions in, then we bring the full panel plus moderator onto the main stage, and the moderator promotes questions to them. So we'll just have that same blind question thing that we did last time, where people can comment and provide information, or people can chat, but the chat isn't taking away from the main presenter's experience.
And Colin, so like we always schedule a call with each panel probably about a week to 2 weeks before the conference to check in and get materials, make sure everyone knows what they're doing. So if the tech company wants to be part of that, just to go over any tech details, we can incorporate that as well and give directions. That's fine.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I said we usually reach out to them prior to and work with them, or the panelists, and talk with folks. So the big point was just that they wanted to, I guess they were just scoping out the 13 panelists that we had last time, just an hour to talk with them for each panelist and make sure that they had everything set up. Again, I was like, dude, that was the first thing that he brought up that we could cut. And I was like, yeah, I think you're gonna have a hard time pitching that to some people. So we already have time that we talk with them, and we assume that everyone here is a Zoom veteran at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
But yep. So yeah, I want to have a call with everyone just to scope out any questions that you guys might have. They are 100% on the Zoom support. Like, they are going to be handling it. They have the license. They're doing it all. The only thing that we have is asked is, again, how much time pre-prod do we want to spend with panelists? If they want to join those meetings, then we can pull that together. If they want to charge for any services or something there, that's that. We can work that out. And the location, if we can just get the location, that's included in that 12 grand estimate. And so that was one of the things, was he was very open to just starting to, like, this is the top line. This is the most expensive we're going to make it. And we can just start chipping away things to hit your budget. Again, offering as low as 6 to 8 grand if we just do bare bones, and don't want to make the guy do charity work. So I do support them having a little bit of pre-production and them having some of that padding, but also made it clear to them that every cent you take away from us is money you take away from the community and legal aid. So just so you know, so he's very, very receptive to taking out various things, as long as it was saving them work.
Colin, the $1,300, and I don't know if that'll even come into play, since Lauren shared that they typically talk to the panelists in keynote a week to 2 weeks prior to the event, and they can just be invited into that space. Was that 1,200 part of? Not 12. Yeah.
That 1,300 was part of the 12,000.
Was it part of?
Yep.
Okay, that was my question.
Yep. Yeah, so that 12 grand is assuming they have to rent an office space with enterprise, internet connection, that they have to, that they have 13 panelists that they want to coordinate with, or 13 individuals. So we can pare down some of that. They said that, they do graphics. They'd essentially do what we had last time. They were completely fine with doing what we had last time. And, as much as I'd like to do let's just pare all of it down. Let's just do the $6,000 one, whatever the cheapest is. Again, I don't want to try to take advantage of, two folks that are doing this. I get it. Making $3,000 in just a day of doing something is probably a pretty sweet deal, but I feel like that's even cheaper than when this service was not necessarily as much in demand last year. And that's with all, yeah. So, I'm fine with accepting up to 12, but realistically, I think we'll pare them down to 10, maybe even cheaper. But around 10 is what I'm targeting.
And
That's how much I think we should pay.
And one of the reasons is because we'll be providing the workspace.
Yes, yeah. So workspace, cutting out, any of that, time that they need to talk, providing them an agenda that, they were talking about, making their own agenda and trying to figure out run of show. Just getting people together and talking with them about that. If we even want to, show up in a space with them, they were like, that would kind of make us a little bit more comfortable. But frankly, I'm kind of fine with everyone being, separate as well. So whatever we want to do, they said that they're going to be in a space together, figuring it out with multiple computers, trying to set stuff up. So I think we just need to talk to them more, but as long as 12, I guess our options boil down to is at most $12,000 palatable, or we just wing it and do it on our own. That's kind of where we're at. Creative visions, I'm completely out on that. So it's, can we palette that, ideally get it less, or try to figure out how to do it on our own? I don't like that one. Demetrius said, did we get any information on any IT assistance that the city can help with when it comes to this?
I put in a request and I'm still waiting to hear back, because something like that got to go through multiple people. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. But I did put in that request last week when you mentioned it.
Cool. Yeah. I would assume it would cost.
Go ahead.
I just assume it would cost us a little bit to get the Zoom license and everything, but I think Laura had said that was only like $500. We got one.
We don't need one. We have one. So we
Okay,
have
cool.
Zoom. You don't need that. But I will say, I don't know if that company is able to come in and hardwire in because of security concerns. I know IT, I don't know if I can swing that, but I do have a workspace for them and we have Wi-Fi, but I don't know if they'll be able to hardwire in. But let me reach out to IT about that.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yep. If we could get them in, and even with the Wi-Fi, it depends. Yeah, I don't know how well Wi-Fi would work for something like this. But if they need to come in and do a check and see if everything works out, like that's how I feel about the space. But it should be an enterprise setup. As long as the Wi-Fi is set up for enterprise access, then I'm not too worried about it.
Could they not use a hotspot, or is that not strong enough? You say hardwire, so it has to be through
An Ethernet cable.
internet?
Yeah, and that just gives you a solid connection. It's not going to be bottlenecked by how many people are on it. You can't, if you stand behind something, you're not going to have to worry about it. So, I just like, they said they're going to have multiple computers up. So my assumption is that they want to have multiple things hooked up and running this, just so they don't have, one computer bogged down with talking to several people and slowing down.
I just get a feeling that I don't know who Demetrius has to speak with, but if we're gonna go on past, unless Demetrius, you are aware of the city hosting any events where they had an outside vendor on the premises doing anything. I mean, you may not even know that they were doing that, but I find it, I don't see a yes to us on that. I really don't. I'm just trying to be honest. But I might get surprised.
Yeah, it's just a suggestion I had. Again, we'd have to pay for them renting out an office space otherwise. So I know the city is able to at least provide stuff when we have people show up in person. So, I see no reason, as long as it's, a supervised event, it could be, it should be fine. That's just my personal take on it.
Okay.
So we'll see. If not, then, we just pay for it.
We'll see, because when you talk about the $12,000, that's including that. So yeah. I will say this, if this doesn't work out, I personally would not feel comfortable with having our fair housing conference with the different panels and panelists speaking and a keynote with our own IT people and our own board members doing anything. I'm going to throw this out there just in case. And if this doesn't work out, but before I go any further, Colin, you said they're going to actually send you something in writing to review. Is there like a contract, or is that like what they will offer?
Yeah, so I want to have a meeting with the folks that we were feeling out creative visions with. So Lauren, Jack, Sandra, whoever wants to join, Demetrius, and talk through what they have to offer. And then we get a contract with everything scoped out, exactly what services, line item services, in terms of, how much they're going to be charging us for X, Y, and Z. And yeah, I want them to send over a contract that tells us what they're doing.
Okay, because you said they reached back out to you once you informed them that they were definitely not providing what we were looking for. So they came back.
Oh, that was Creative Visions. So Creative Visions reached out to me with that. The person I'm talking to now was suggested by, I guess, the guy that runs Myriad Media. And he had worked with this dude to take conferences and push them out through Zoom. The guy has a bit of a portfolio, and he's collecting a team to service us. So folks that he's worked with, directors and producers, to run everything virtually.
Now, I'm assuming they have a company name, tax ID, etc. So I'm saying that from the city is not gonna make payment to anybody unless they like have an official.
Yeah, that's why I want to have, at least like Demetrius. I asked him, what do you take in terms of cash? It sounds like, since they're contractors, freelance contractors, just setting everything up. So it sounds like one of the guy that he is, I think is IC or something was the dude's name that he's working with. That he has, a full company name and everything. He takes credit cards and things of that sort. So we should be fine there. But the guy that I've talked with, specifically Carol, he does not have anything set up like that.
I'm going to email my organization right now, just as sort of a plan B, to see if there's anyone here, maybe in our IT department, or who could just help manage the Zoom side of things and, play traffic cop, managing the waiting room and things like that. Because last March we held a remote expunction clinic where our students were here in our building in Raleigh, but the clients we were serving were in Pitt County, but they went to a central location in Pitt County, and there were a bunch of terminals set up there, and we had one person just dedicated to playing traffic cop, and it worked out really well. So if someone like that is available, then that might be another option.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any support is appreciated.
Okay.
Ms. Sandra, may I add one thing? I know there's a little discomfort with like BI hosting the conference. But you know, if our backs are against the wall, then I think another alternative need to be identified. But once again, you know, we're here to assist any capacity we can. The Human Relations Commissions just did a virtual panel discussion at the beginning of the year that had almost a little bit over 100 people in attendance. Now, if we're doing it in a webinar format, similar to how our meetings are done here, then I'm not really concerned. You don't have to worry about the participants. You're just worrying about the panelists and the keynote speaker. I know, you know, y'all have a quality and you operate in excellence, but just keep in mind, like, hey, if we still want to do it, then we just might have to be creative, or we might just have to, you know, break it up. Maybe we can do maybe a panel and a keynote for this event, and then turn around doing a panel discussion maybe a couple of weeks later through Zoom, similar to how we did the eviction moratorium discussion earlier this year with the group. So, I mean, not this year, but you know what I mean, last year with the eviction moratorium, just to throw that idea out there as well.
I did speak with the legal aid IT folks, and they thought that if it was one breakout room and one like attendance space in the Zoom, that we could probably handle it internally. But beyond that, it does seem to get a little bit more complicated. My biggest, if we were to do it internally, I would want to practice to make sure we know how to move people from breakout rooms to like the main stage. And I think we would just have to look at how the Spanish language translation track would work, and just making sure the closed captioning is on. But they thought it was possible. Whether or not there's someone who could also assist me that day is a separate question.
Okay. Thank you.
I am surprised to hear that the main freelancer doesn't have anything set up, like in terms of like, you know, tax purposes, because freelancers usually do. So that was new for me.
Yeah, I mean, he might have, again, I asked him, he's like, yeah, I take direct deposits. I don't have infrastructure for credit cards or anything like that. So he said that the person that he's working with 100% does. So I was like, as long as it's like you don't require checks, I think we can handle it. But I don't know what the city does when it comes to that.
Okay. A couple of these situations, Demetrius, is going to fall in your lap. I mean, we kind of know how the city work, and I mean, not even from a city perspective. You know, you want to be comfortable with who you're using. So when you freelance mean a lot to me. I mean, I'm in banking and commercial and entrepreneurship, and people freelance all the time, and they can just be, you know, when you're not like solid, this is my company, this is my whatever, you know, you just sometimes may not know what you get. But I guess we'll definitely make a decision regarding it. And thanks, Colin, you're having a lot of conversation. I'm amazed that this has been so challenging, trying to find someone. I mean, everybody's doing conferences this way. I don't understand the struggle.
I really think it's because they are paying someone to do video production. You know, even when I talk to, even talking to creative, it seems like that's what they do. They don't really do the Zoom conference stuff.
Yeah.
They subcontract if they want to have people do the presentation. What they make money off of is making really pretty videos. And that is like the last thing I want right now. I don't want pretty videos. I want someone just to make sure that the Zoom thing does the Zoom thing. That's it.
All right. Okay. Jack, I'm glad you're on this call because I'm about to say something, and you guys, I'm just talking out loud. I make 0 decisions by myself, and I'm just part of a community outreach. If this doesn't work out for whatever reason, whether we don't feel comfortable with it, whether the city is not going to let us hire someone that doesn't have a tax ID, that they can pay in the format that they need to, because this is a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. I would think that internally, if we have to do something internally, Jack, what do you think about if we took our keynote? I mean, we have a keynote, we have 2 separate panel group for discussions. We may have to break that up. What do you think about if we had to break it up and we had more than one session over a period of time? If
Are
we
you
had,
talking, Sandra, are you talking about having different days, different events on different days?
yes,
Uh,
I just don't know how to, if it may not work where we can bring it all together. I mean, what do we have to,
And how could we not do it in this format? Just panel, the other panel leaves, panel, right?
right.
Just do it like this if we have to do it on our own. It's just we have to deal with doing it on our own.
yeah, I really wouldn't want it to be broken up into separate events. I think that would be kind of like double the work.
Well, look at, I guess I was thinking more in terms of if we had a keynote speaker and we have 2 panels with 2 different topics. And you know, throughout the year, we do try to have events for our community that falls under a certain type of topic or discussion. So if we had a keynote and choose whichever panelist group that we feel that may be the best one to go with at this time in April. And if we cut out the second panel and then down the road, I don't mean multiple events in the month of April, but you know, the Fair Housing Hearing Board, we have to do some other things throughout the year. What if our other panel was our, if the second panel that we don't choose be.
Right, I understand. So you're talking about what
Yeah.
if we were to have just the keynote and 1 panel as opposed to 2?
If it needs to be run internally, I just think it may run smoother.
I mean, Lauren and I can talk about that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I could, you know.
I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah.
Is the payment the primary concern that you have with the cheaper option?
No, the payment isn't the primary concern. My primary concern is going to be when Demetrius take this to the city and when there's a contract and whatever, well, not the amount that they're charging is not my concern. It is going to be, how does this company look or this freelance look on paper to the city when they approve it?
I mean, how did the other one look? How did last year look?
Well, it was
Contract, right?
no, I mean, it was a company. It was like North State Bank, and I give you my tax ID and I give you my whatever.
Okay,
I know
okay,
you're
that
gonna
makes
speak
sense.
with him again. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, are you dealing with a freelancer that's truly freelancing, and you know, it's kind of a, I don't mean anything, a hustle. A hustle is a hustle. I wish I had one. But you're good at it. I mean, we know people are really good in that field, but when it comes to business and you're especially dealing with organizations such as the city or huge organizations, they really look at that, Colin. They're gonna like, what do they look like on paper? Who are they? And especially if we go to them and say that we possibly want to use, one of the city buildings for them to set up and do whatever. They're gonna, maybe somebody else can, maybe I'm thinking wrong. I just think that they're gonna frown down on it and they're not gonna be comfortable with it. They're not gonna look at it as an official, legit organization.
I mean, if they could offer an alternative, I would tend to agree with you, but we're sitting here with empty-handed and it comes to any IT support and any I mean, come on, dude. Like, there's no way that if we're looking to run a conference and literally it's gonna hinge on this. I don't, I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, but yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying
they're not offering us alternatives.
Colin, I think this goes back to what we talked a little bit about, like from a procurement standpoint, right? Like, we need to show the city that these are legitimate freelancers, or there are freelancers, at least in the digital media world, that they are 100% freelancers, and that is all they do. They are very talented, have a portfolio. But I thought you had told me that this guy was Streamline Productions LLC. Like, they have a website.
Is that what the dude is?
The guy. It's not just the guy. He has a website.
Yeah, whatever I sent you, that's his credentials. I've been talking to the guy. He hasn't had a backdrop or anything like that. So if it is Streamline, then that's who I've been working with.
So
there's an organization that's there.
Yeah, what you had sent me is Carol Herndon, Streamline Productions LLC. They do digital media and live events. They have a website.
Okay.
I mean, so it says they're based in Tennessee, but let's make sure that let's find out if this is them or not. Like, because that's what we have to show, right? That they're legitimate.
Yes. And they could be based in Tennessee and have freelance anywhere.
Sure.
Freelance anywhere. I mean, my daughter works for a company out of Phoenix. She's a contractor. She covers this territory for them. So,
but if they're an LLC, they'll be paying taxes. I don't understand why.
Right. So they should have a tax ID and that.
Yeah, I would say I didn't ask for a tax ID. I just said, how do you take payment? Because I know the city's going to be particular about that.
I would just add, if they have a tax ID, I would imagine that it will not make so much of a difference how the city pays them, whether it's by check or bank draft or whatever. The city's going to want to know, are they a legitimate organization?
Yeah.
And if they have a tax ID, that means they are registered with the IRS.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Wanda Gilbert Coker Mobile. I remember when Marquita was here, and there was something we were having. I think it was like some community event or something, and we were looking at like possibly getting like a caterer or something. I was like, well, I know somebody, Marquita, because sometimes as someone said, they like to go through the city and get those MWB, whatever that thing is called, procure people, but it's like last minute, so we that was too late to do that. But she said, well, as long as they have a tax ID number, and she was like, there's a paperwork or something they have to fill out, and they're good. And so that's what we did. So yeah, that's exactly what you all are saying. We decided to go out and buy stuff at Sam's Club and stuff. But where we got the food. But my point is, that's exactly what Marquita said. As long as they had that tax ID number and they had to fill out certain paperwork from the city, and that's how she would have gotten paid. It was simple. It wasn't like a major, serious 3-page nothing. It was like a page of something.
I think a quick phone call today to this person should resolve these issues. So that's the concern. If people were concerned that the city might not accept this organization because thinking that maybe it's just an individual, not a corporation or a company, and then we might have to do it internally. And if we had to do it internally, we would have to reduce it to one panel in the keynote. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
I
Okay,
think we can still do the two panels. I mean, it's, you just have the meeting just run on and, we do what we do. But
Well, if
I just
it's-
texted the guy asking for the tax ID.
yeah, okay. And so if he can do it, then he can do it with 2 panels and a keynote, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm just
okay.
confused why we can't. If we can do one panel, why not two, right? Like, why do we have to pare down the conference?
Okay, I'm gonna repeat.
I don't feel comfortable doing one panel, just to let you know.
But if you
but if
don't
we
feel
figure out
comfortable
one
doing
panel-
one panel, you think I want you doing 2 and a keynote? No.
I mean, if we're gonna screw it up, we might as well screw all of it up, right?
Oh, hell no.
You know,
This is
I don't
my
know. I
last
mean,
year.
I like, I
You're
don't
not
know
finna
which one's
screw up.
worse.
You're not finna screw up under my name. You can screw up when I roll off. Matter of fact, you be rolling off with me.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. So
Like we
I
said-
mean, oh, go on.
Hey,
No,
yeah.
just like Lauren and I have said before, the best way to do it would be to pay somebody who will be in charge of the tech aspects of this on the day, who can handle that, so that all we need to be dealing with is the content and who is speaking next and what is being said. It's worth the money. I mean, this is certainly a lot less than what was envisioned. And so I don't understand the concern.
Yeah.
The concern is not the money or anything. It's just that based on what I heard today and listening to the words and listening to the presentation from Colin, my antennas went up because we know the city, they're quick to kind of,
Right.
so I want to make sure that because we're not writing a check. It's not like, I know we have money in our budget, but this stuff goes through so many channels, and the city
Right.
is not an easy organization to get stuff done. And so I'm just trying to bring forth what I see as a business person that may be challenging, and to see if they are in position, or they.
I understand.
Whatever. That's all. That is it.
Got it.
2,000 means nothing to me. They sound like they got their act together, but I would definitely, Colin, one thing I will say, I would not ask the city to utilize any of their space. I don't even want to have that discussion with them. So,
So if you can get the tax ID number today and provide that to whom? To Demetrius? Who would it go to you, and then you will be giving it to the city?
yeah, because the contract would be from them that would get signed off by us or whomever with the layout of everything. And then whether they require deposit up front and the balance later, whatever the agreement is, needs to be signed. Go to Demetrius. Demetrius will take it and then run it up the chain.
Right.
Even though it's your event, my name is still going to be on it.
That's
So when
fine.
it comes to like the paperwork and all that, I still have to. So if I get like a tax ID, making sure everything's good to go, then I'm completely fine with it, because I've had numerous experiences where, like Ms. Wanda said, trying to work with individuals. We thought that they was an organization. Turns out they were just a person, and they was like, "Oh, here go my Square account," or just cash out me my money. It was just like a whole different legal side, and then conflicts of interest, and then you have somebody on not Channel 17 News, and I do not look orange, and I do not look good in Prison Orange because of a mistake that could have been avoided. So really, just once we get that information taken care of, I take care of it from this end.
So it sounds like we need to get the tax ID number, and we need to get a contract
Yeah, that's it.
from this entity. And Colin, can you do that?
Colin has left the building.
Yeah, he had to get
Okay.
off.
Well,
Yeah,
then,
and I'll
can
reach
somebody
out
do
to
that?
him and confirm with him. I think he know, but I will confirm with him and let him know what we need. The sooner the better.
Well, time is really of the essence. This is very late, and as quickly as this can be moved, the better.
So contract with EIN info. Okay. All right. Okay.
Great.
we can get, if we get past that piece of it,
I'm happy to tell you that we have all of our panelists lined up. We have the keynote lined up. You know, we have the substance already confirmed. It's the two panels. I think where you live, we have a Professor Hernandez from California, and we have Josie Williams, who's with the Greensboro Housing Coalition, and they're all going to be talking, both of them talking about the related issues with resulting from historic patterns of segregation and gentrification, dealing with the environment, dealing with healthcare, other things that are related, and advocacy to make communities livable that have been racially segregated. The other panel is the sales panel, dealing with discriminatory appraisals, dealing with, we have a local real estate agent, Monique Edwards, who will be talking about fair housing issues that she has experienced kind of on, on a day-to-day basis as a real estate agent. And we have somebody from the North Carolina Budget and Tax Center who will be talking about policy issues on how to assist low-income elderly persons of color remain in the community and not get pushed out through specifically local tax waivers that cities can implement to help keep people in the community rather than getting priced out. So we have those two panels. We have Ms. McCain. We got it.
Okay, so
all we need is a website.
well, at least we're closer to that than not. And with that being said, I guess my next question is, or the next thing is, at some point, and you're right, we're getting close, stuff need to be pushed out. Demetrius, who does our, is it you or who does our
Communication.
add the communication, what it, like,
yes, we have I got you covered. Similar to last year, we'll create a communication plan, and then we will make with, we'll work with the communication team to put everything together and make it look nice and go out. And so, thank you, Ms. Wanda. Yes, we can create a flyer, similar to last year. Jack, if you could just send me a list of all the panelists and the keynotes and who's going to be doing what. If you have a headshot available, that way at least I can get started on the flyer. And then once we identified the who's going to be hosting like the Zoom, we can take care of like pre-registration and all that. So literally, once I have all the information, it's literally, we're still ahead of time because normally we're struggling to get the panelists identified, but we already got the panelists and keynote take care of. Now it's just locking in the platform and the IT person. So I'm still confident that we're still going to be able to do this. But yeah, I'll take care of it once it's, shared with me.
So Demetrius, I can get you a list of everybody today, and this week I can get you a headshot for Miss McCain. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, can I get like a little?
I'm assuming you just need the headshot for her as the keynote and not everybody?
What is it, like 8 panelists?
It's going to be 5 panelists.
Total? Okay, you can give me headshots for everybody. And maybe a bio, just a couple of sentences. I just really want to make it clean and crisp and uniform across the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jack, and that's something I guess you can tell Demetria, because I knew you had already identified moderators, right? For both?
No, usually that the moderators are
someone from, I didn't know,
Yeah.
and we haven't talked about this piece in so long. We've just been talking
Yeah.
about it.
No, we don't have moderators necessarily. We always kind of reserve that for y'all. Yeah.
I can moderate something. Just let me know the topic so I can do my research so I can be prepared.
Also help with moderation.
Okay.
You go.
Lisa and Tulu, you have to determine which one you feel more comfortable with. I guess we look at the topics of the two. I'll look at Jack's artwork in the background there.
Can I introduce Demetria? I'll get her name right by then. Or is that something a fair housing? I mean a Jeff, may he rest in peace. Forgive me, Jack and them do.
Oh yeah, we usually
Sorry, I was up there.
fine. Wanda was talking about introducing the keynote, but typically we use someone from legal aid to do that. I know that. What's the gentleman's name? I know.
George Housen,
Yeah.
our director.
Yeah.
One of them retired.
He is retiring,
Okay.
but not yet.
Okay.
This summer, but
Okay.
yes, you're correct.
Okay. I thought that's what I heard.
That's correct. As am I.
I
You
didn't
are?
hear that now. I did not hear that.
I'm so glad I'm rolling it off. I can't imagine doing this without you, Jack. And you're right. Rest in peace of Jeff. Neither one of you. Whew.
Well, now that Jeff's name has come up and I put it in the chat just to Sandra, I would like to do something to respect and honor Jeff at the conference.
I agree, Wanda. I was going to, I have that written down. Maybe if we can begin to start an award or something, something to just commemorate all of the work that was put in and everything that he's done for the Fair Housing Board. I know since I've been here. So I'm with you, Wanda.
Well, he has family. I mean, I'm sure we can present something to Jack. Before we even go any further, would they be okay or comfortable with us recognizing it?
No, I think it'd be fine to recognize Jeff. I think it would be very nice if there was some recognition of Jeff at the conference. The Fair Housing Project, we normally give 2 awards. One is the Stella Adams Fair Housing Advocacy Award, and the other award was unnamed. We've actually, one was to an organization, one to an individual. The one going to an individual is being renamed the Jeff Dillman Fair Housing Award.
Yes. Yes.
And so, but that's separate and apart from just the conference, just, having his picture up, and, taking a moment just to recognize Jeff. I think that'd be really nice.
Okay, can I do that part then?
You may do that part, and we'll come up.
And I promise I won't cry.
Wanda, please don't.
I won't. I'll hold it in for 3 minutes. Then I'll go. I'll take my face off.
Okay. Okay, that's something the Fair Housing Board will do on a side note and figure that out. And on the same note, we do need to choose an individual and an organization from the Fair Housing Hearing Board to recognize. We can also do that on the side, on the, what time is it? 1:46. So we still need to do that. So if anyone, I'll send something out, but just think about it. If anyone has anybody in mind that we can vote on to recognize, like I say, one nonprofit organization and an individual, just one of each. So Jeff may be our individual. Jack, the information that you're going to send to Demetrius, would you copy me, or maybe all of us, so that we kind of know truly who our participants are?
Sure.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I also feel that between now and the conference, I think we were talking earlier, we typically do not have a board meeting the month of the conference, but I feel like we, in this year, that we need to meet just to kind of come together once again. I'll make sure that everybody's in the loop with what's going on with the tech. We'll make sure everybody's in the loop what's going on with our marketing piece. And again, reach out regarding who we're going to recognize. If anybody have any organizations in mind. And I would definitely like for us to meet again or have a meeting prior to, I don't know about y'all, but I just need it for my own mental state of mind.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Um,
It could be our normal time that we usually meet, because that's our conference is the conference is the 29th and 1, 2, 3. Our meeting would typically fall on the 20th.
yeah.
So Jack, my question is this: when you all meet with the speakers the week or 2 weeks prior to, and it sound like tech would be involved, I don't remember. I don't think that we were on that call. We don't need to be on that call. Okay.
You do not need to be on that call. Whoever the moderator is can be on that call, so
Okay.
that the moderator and the panelists can introduce each other, but that's
Okay.
it.
Just the moderator, so which would be Tulu and Chalisa. And you know who that'll be. So when you do set that up or set it up with Colin or have it get set up, we'll make sure that they're included. So guys, can we have our normal meeting on the 20th? If you guys
I'm
are
good,
okay.
as far as I know.
Okay. Anything on anybody's mind regarding the conference, something that we need to work on behind the scene?
And Tulu, I will get up with each of you separately. I'll include you on the emails that I send out to the panelists to arrange the time to talk, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Are we finished with the conference?
Yes, yeah, I think we are for now, for sure.
I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm on my phone. And while I'm not coughing, I don't know if what Tulu lifted in the email about the eviction is expungement. What do you call it? It's on there or not, but I did not respond. Like I said, I'm in the process of healing and also trying to find somewhere to live and all that, y'all. And so but yes, I think it's a plus. It's definitely needed, desperately needed. And so I didn't know, not only with the work that, I do with Wake County Housing Justice Coalition, also with the statewide housing justice work, which Josie is on as well. Is something we know is desperately needed, especially since the moratorium, and working with the legal aid and the court house evictions and things that has happened throughout the state and throughout Wake County. So and I'm sure Fair Housing, all of us, joining and all of that is an effort that our community needs. So I know we're not talking about April or whatever, but I just want to lift it and say that, it's something that we don't have to, necessarily work on now, but because we got the conference coming up, but I hope there's something, definitely on the calendar for May. I don't know your schedule, Tolu, and maybe that's when the students are graduating. But anyway, my point is, I hope it's on the calendar for soon.
Thanks, Wanda. And I actually had his email in front of me, and he does reference, do you all think about putting on a clinic in mid to late June?
Oh, okay.
And I did respond, and Colin, I think, and a couple of us just kind of responded, we discussed later, but definitely interested and important that we do this. And Demetrius and I was even talking about this because after our conference, I think we need to determine how many outreach events are we going to put on for the remainder of the year. You have this, we're partnering with Campbell University with the expansion clinic. You have back to school time frame. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. I know it's a lot of stuff going on during that time, but you have the season changing again. You will have winter. So after the conference, I would like to see us do at least a minimum of 3.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Outreach events, and I guarantee you that 2023 that the conference will be a live event.
Oh yeah, definitely. But this goes along with those things on from our what's that thing we had? Not conference, but what was it's called something else.
Oh, yeah.
And we wrote down, this goes along with that. So there was some other things we had listed on there as well. But this I know is at the top.
Yeah, here the email says the primary role of the board would be to refer about 45 applicants. The goal is to serve almost 30 people during the clinic. If 45 people apply, some of them would be over income, some of them would not be eligible for meaningful expungement, and a small number will not show. So, there's always that percentage. So you recommend or refer more, and then hopefully in the end, the goal is to touch 30 people. So, he has, the requirements in here, applicants must be low or no income, et cetera, et cetera. Tulu, I can do it if you don't mind. Do you mind if I resend out the email that you sent?
Sure, that's fine.
Regarding this, I'll send this out again. And it's never too early to look on the calendar.
Well, I've got it open right now. Would it be best for me to just forward it to the equity liaison address? Or we'll forward it, resend it to everyone along with sending it to the equity liaison address?
Oh, okay. Demetrius?
What's the equity liaison?
Talking about me.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
All right. I was like, you got a new
apologize to
Yeah. I have a motion.
Hey, Wanda, don't be messing with his big.
No, I am not. I elevate you. I elevate you. Yes. I apologize. Look, I got to catch up.
Too funny. Whew. But
I needed that, y'all. I don't think y'all understand. I needed that.
We understand. We understand. Tulu, when you look for a date, I'm assuming it's a weekend date. Is it Saturdays only, Saturdays and Sunday?
Saturday, maybe a Friday.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, I'll be out of the country, you guys, from May 31st to June 21st. So, but y'all don't need me to put on anything, but I'll be tapped.
Okay.
Talisa, come with me. Talisa, come go with me.
No, because you just got back.
Okay,
That's
well,
that's the
okay,
voice of a hater. That's the voice of a hater. You just got back.
that's the expansion clinic, and also for me to get it around to those who need it to share it, if it's in a flyer, some type of
Oh,
something.
always. I think we try to always put everything that we do in a flyer format. I mean, that's the easiest way to
Yeah, so
get it
that
out
would
there.
be helpful.
And Tulu, another question. Will it require someone to just to show up, registration, not registration to, I meant like just to know of a head count, or we just put it out there and wait, have a time frame and see if people show up? You make it
No,
simple?
we can't do it that way. We'll have way too many people show up, and we have to run their records a few
In
weeks ahead of
advance.
time.
Okay.
Like I said in the email, to be sure if they are eligible, because otherwise, the people who've got the most serious records understandably want expunction relief the most, but they are the least likely to be eligible. So the reason we work with agencies such as the Fair Housing Hearing Board is so that we can sort of convey those screening requirements. Well, one, we want to avoid just broadcasting it to the entire world. And two, so that, the way we do broadcast it, we can, convey generally what the expunction eligibility requirements are, so that we're not raising people's hopes and not getting, a bunch of applicants who are not going to be eligible. And so I guess I think we'll need to talk more about exactly the best way to do this. And I need to confirm. So that email that I sent was just meant to see if there's interest in doing it and if the general timing would work. But I also need to talk with the person who will be our clinic director this summer. Our regular director will be working on other projects this summer. So I need to talk with Emily Meester, who is another professor here, who will be the director of the clinic this summer, just to make sure that we can do this clinic this summer. But I wanted to send that email to see if working with the board is an option. Yeah.
All right, well, to answer your question, yes, it is an option. So I guess from this stage, you can find out whether or not they'll be willing to allow you all to have a clinic this summer. So, and I guess we can go from there. So just let us know.
Yeah. And just to describe the process a bit more. So once we work with a partner and put out the word, people will apply to, people who are interested will apply to our clinic. We'll include the contact information, and they'll need to provide some of their financial information, not like their bank account numbers or anything, but they won't need to provide tax returns or anything. It's basically the same process as applying to legal aid. Our intake requirements are a bit higher. We can serve people who have a bit of a higher income than legal aid. But then once they complete the financial intake process, then another attorney and I will along with the financial intake, of course, they'll need to provide, their name and any other names under which they might have a criminal record. And then I, along with another attorney, will run their North Carolina records and make an initial determination about whether or not they're eligible to expunge any part of their North Carolina record. And then during the clinic, and we'll work with our students ahead of time to review those records and to prepare the expunction paperwork. Then during the clinic itself, our students will meet with the clients, review the record we found, and if the record is confirmed, then give them their advice about what they're eligible to expunge. And so the intent is that, if any applicant who is not eligible for an expunction, we'll tell them ahead of time so that they don't, again, get their hopes too high up, and so they don't go through the entire process just to be told you're not eligible for anything. And if at all possible, what we like to do is on the day of the clinic, have members of the courthouse staff there, someone from the clerk's office to accept filing of the petitions, someone from the DA's office, because depending on the type of expunction petition, they need to be given a copy, and some district and superior court judges, because there are some types of expunctions that can be granted on the spot. And so if we can have judges there to do that, that's always fantastic. But given the numbers of people that we would be able to serve, 30, I think, would be the upper limit, because this summer we'll be having at most 8 students. 30 would be the upper limit that we could serve during a clinic like this. I don't know if the courthouse staff will want to come out for what by their standards would be a pretty small expunction clinic. But if not, then that's really more of a thing on our end to manage how to file it. I'm just letting you know who might be there.
When you say courthouse staff, are you talking about judges and administrative people?
Yeah, someone from the clerk's office,
Okay.
a few people from the clerk's office. Well, so the way it would work if we were filing a petition regularly is, depending on the type of petition, first we'd have to serve a copy on the DA's office. So they'd be aware of it, they can do their own investigation. Then we would take it to the clerk's office to file it, and then the clerks would deliver it to a judge to make a decision. Depending on the type of petition, that whole process can take 2 weeks or about 45 days or several months. But during the clinic, like I said, if we have judges there, then the petitions to expunge dismissed charges could be granted on the spot. And judges like to do that at clinics like this, because it's a positive community experience, and it's positive community exposure for them.
Yeah. Oh Lord, what's Ashley's last name? She used to be with Fair Housing. She does a lot of expungements for when it comes to criminal stuff. I can't think of her last name. Ashley, I'm got to look it up.
Dunstan, Parker Dunstan.
Check with her. She most definitely, I'm sure, would be willing. And Blair as well. If you can't get Blair to do it, I will get Blair to do it. He's the you know who Blair is, right?
Yeah, Blair Williams. Yeah, the elected clerk of court. Yeah, and we've our clinic has put on several clinics with Wake County courthouse staff before. So we can certainly get their ear. I just don't know for sure whether or not one, for timing, size of the clinic, all different kinds of factors that would need to align.
Yeah. Rozier, he is all community.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't care if it's 2 people there. Blair gonna show up with somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, Blair Williams, the clerk of court. Yeah.
Yes.
But Tulu, as far as the board being on location, what can we do on the, if we're there the day of this event, what is it, how can we support what you all are doing? Is there Demetrius or Wanda, Chalisa, Eric, do we take advantage of that moment to do giveaways, just fair housing information? Do we turn it into, take advantage of, since we're kind of collaborating with, partner, or whatever you want to call it, do we take advantage of that and use that also as an opportunity to do a giveaway of some sort?
I mean, I see it as an opportunity to like give out the tenant rights book,
Right.
a certain,
Something.
and also in that book, if we do want to give out, some type of something like a handbag, notepad, or something like that, calendar or something to go with it, I think it would be a great idea. Our presence is and to bring awareness that we exist in the community, I think is would be necessary for after the fact, and also for people who, once they leave and they go back and say, hey, I got it done. But I got a housing issue. If Campbell can't help them, then maybe they can come to us. Word of mouth to someone else.
Okay. All right, Tulu, well, we'll put the ball back in your court. You know that we're willing and however we can help. Definitely would love to participate in these efforts. So just let us know what you find out, and then we can move forward from there. Demetrius, do you have anything to say regarding this? Is there anything that you on mute?
Was it me? Oh, I don't have anything. I'm excited for the event. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just wondering to make sure there wasn't nothing that you had to say.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just excited. Tolo, I would just take your guidance on how do we market, how do we get the word out? Also, I guess we can be offline to figure out, you can walk me through what's the pre-registration process so that it's clearly stated, once we push out the information like, hey, this is what you need to do to see if you're eligible for the expungement clinic. I just don't, like you said, I don't want to get anyone hopes up or anything like that. I just really want to provide clear and explicit, language around that. That way it's like, people show up like, hey, I registered for it. Well, we let you know that unfortunately you wasn't, eligible. I just don't want to get anyone hopes up, but I just want to be, explicitly clear with the language going forward.
Yeah.
And then also, do you need a location or do you have a location? All those things.
I don't have a location in mind.
Okay.
We could work together on that. That would be great.
Okay.
But going back to the registration and the advertising, I guess the main thing I wanted to ask you all is, so like I said, so my main concern is we don't want to just say, hey, there's an expunction clinic on such and such a date, because we'll be swamped with calls. Are there, if this is a board event, would there be certain requirements? Like, would you have to advertise it on the board website?
We do not have to. However, we might just need to have an offline conversation. But I mean, whatever the board recommends, we can kind of follow, because that's your website. I mean, we have some rules and regulations what can go on there. But if the board doesn't want to advertise, or if they do want to advertise on the website, we can just figure out the best course of action. We can just talk offline, because I know that's like event planning and going into the weeds of things. I just didn't want to hold anyone else, but we can take care of all the administrative things on the back end.
All
right. I would just like to quickly say, when we were doing Court Watch, Wake County Housing Justice Coalition, Blair gave us the list of people that were up for eviction for us to help with them getting the moratorium money to, you know, prevent from getting evicted, and maybe they could get the funding. So that list is available. And so maybe we can use that list to reach out. Cause you know, they're still, you know, find out actually those who got evicted. So therefore it can be, you know, streamlined to we're reaching out to that those people. And as far as advertisement or whatever, I think maybe what should go up after the event is that we held it, and this is the this is what we did in the community afterwards, you know. But that's my suggestion. Like you said, I don't want to hold up everybody, but I just want to let you know that Blair, I'm sure Blair would be willing again to assist with that list. So.
Okay. Well, it's 2:12, guys. Awesome meeting. Collins already sent out the minutes. Too funny. But I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll be shooting you guys an email on some of the pending discussions, our decisions that we need to make regarding the conference. And before I shut it down, anything else from anyone? Appreciate you guys. Meeting's adjourned. Have a good day.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too.
Thank y'all.